My name's Brad Burnett with DUNA USA, and in this video we're going to show you how to prime and paint CORAFOAM HDU using a water-based paint system, which is more environmentally friendly and is safer to be around. All CORAFOAM is manufactured in the USA at DUNA's Baytown, Texas, US headquarters.
Hey everybody, Jeremy with Signs by Van, and today we've got a really cool video that we've had a lot of people calling in, commenting on YouTube, wanting us to do a video on how we get signs in and out of this shop as quickly as possible and still maintain that real high quality look and finish. So what we're going to be focusing on today is water-based paints, and we're going to walk you from this very beginning process through CNC routing. We're going to do the body work, the priming, and then the final paint and getting it ready to go out and install. We want to be able to get signs from start to finish and maintain that high quality, sign product, but being able to do it for an affordable cost. We don't want to have a lot of money into our paint. This is the perfect solution. So follow me into the CNC room and we'll start there. Here's kind of the overall gist of the project. We've got a couple local hospitals. We know we've all been through a big year here, and what we wanted to do was a thank you to all the healthcare workers. So that was kind of the subject for the signage that we're doing today. What this says is thank you to all of our healthcare heroes. And the look that we went was kind of a two-step sign with prism letters. And we're going to be painting them all. It's all one solid piece that we cut out of 2-inch, 15-pound DUNA HDU. And again, if you guys haven't tried DUNA before, their CORAFOAM is the actual product name for the HDU. Absolutely incredible. But so what we did is we got the CNC routed out. It took a total of about 3 to 3.5 hours to route out. And let me make this very clear. So a lot of the cost in fabrication comes from having mistakes and having lines and whatnot in your HDU. The better the CNC operator, the more practice you have, the finer finish that you can get directly off the CNC is going to greatly affect how long it takes for you to, do all the sanding and all the prep work and all that. So our CNC router's been doing this for about 13 years, and we have the brand new Morbidelli M100 SCM router. It does an absolute phenomenal job. So it does make a difference. But I have seen a lot of people out there on YouTube, a lot of people on Instagram that are using routers that are DIY routers in their garage, and they're $2,000 applications, and they can get absolutely beautiful finishes too. So if you guys have any questions about how we get these finishes and whatnot, and step overs and all the details of the type of files that we use, feel free to reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to share our craft with you. So now that this is all fully CNC routed off, we're at a point where we can now take this off. That's what we're going to do. We're going to take it outside so we can take it into natural light, and then we're going to get a really good idea of the type of body work that we need to do to it. But at first look, I've got a couple little things, little chips. I've got a little bit of onion skin on the edges, little minor stuff that we're going to have to take care of. So we're going to show you how to do that right now.
DUNA's CORAFOAM high-density urethane is made using a specialized continuous manufacturing technique. The benefits of producing it this way are it gives it a very smooth surface that's easy to paint, the cells are extremely tight, and it can produce chips instead of dust when you cut it on a CNC machine. Also, it's going to have a much higher strength, which is going to help for screw retention and general outdoors durability. CORAFOAM HDU is one of the most versatile sign substrates in the market. Due to its no-grain cell structure, it can be routed or carved with extreme levels of detail. Because it's so well suited for interior and exterior use, all CORAFOAM HDU has a lifetime warranty.
We brought the sign out here outside into the natural light. What that's going to do is going to show you a lot more imperfections than you'd see actually inside your shop. The last thing you want to do is walk out on install day and go, oh my gosh, I didn't see that thing that we needed to fix. So we always do all of our body work in natural light, And what we need to do right now is go through the letter faces, the sides of the letters. We got to remove onion skin off the HDU. Nice thing about CORAFOAM 15-pound is it sands really well. And you can basically purchase all of your basic sanding tools for $250. If you minus the DA orbital sander out, you can get everything that you need to do what we do here at Science by Van for less than $25. We're going to show you some of the tools that we use on a daily basis, and we'll start from there. Okay, so I'm going to start off with a heavy grate tool, and basically what this is used for is removing large amounts of material. Now, the one downside to being able to remove a lot of the material is this is really rough. So it's once you get in there, you start removing like large mistakes, or you're actually shaping or carving. And again, this tool is $1.99 on Amazon. Really neat little tool, but you're going to have to do some additional sanding when you're done with that. The next one that we use a bunch, we all have those little smaller signs with smaller letters. And what we do is we take adhesive sandpaper and we actually stick it to this, use an X-Acto knife and cut all the way around the piece so it's perfectly contoured. The other nice thing is it'll sand radiuses, which is really helpful in tight spots. Another one, I mean, this is what we all use. It's just free-form sandpaper. It's just to cut off a square, or you can use the circular adhesive types like we do, but you can roll this so that you can get into weird shapes. It's just free-form, so it's just standard sandpaper usage. And then last but not least, the sanding block. This is gonna give you a really flat surface. We use these all the time. Again, for backgrounds, you want everything to be even and level. And this is a really nice manual way of sanding. And I forgot one last thing, that's the DA. This is made by DUNA, and what these are great for is it gets through material really fast. You're gonna be able to sand a lot faster. You will have less control, and you gotta make sure that when you're sanding with these on backgrounds, you don't actually have low spots. So again, very fast and effective tool, but you can actually do some damage using one of these. Now we're getting to the actual body work. Like I said, these are prism letters, and what I'm going to do, because we want to keep that sharp point in the middle line of the letter, we want to use the flat sander. So I'm going to go ahead and use this flat sander here just to get a little bit of the detail work done on the tops of the letters, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. You can see it does not take much to get this to sand down real nice. I mean, we're talking, you know, to do all of these letters, I'm looking at no more than about 15 to 20 minutes, and that's all due to using the right type of flat sanding tool. But we just want to get this thing so it's nice and smooth, so that when we go to paint, we're going to have a lot better surface to work on. Now, don't forget, we're going to be using water-based paints. So water-based paints are going to hide, and especially flat water-based paints are going to hide a lot of the inconsistencies in your sanding job. But don't use that as an excuse. You want that as flat as possible to start with, and that's going to end up making a big difference in the later part of the project. Next thing I want to do, and I highly suggest any sign maker does, is whenever you have a hard edge, that means like a 90-degree edge that's got a real fine point on it, I highly suggest you knock it down, and by doing that, what you're actually creating is a rounded over edge, which allows paint to stick to that rounded over edge much better. So anytime you've got like sharp lines down like here on the corners of the signs, or anything like here in this area, and here, all of these, don't be afraid to come in and either knock these down with a little bit of sandpaper. And I mean, you're only taking off a very small amount, but that little small amount is gonna really help that paint hold on to that edge. And from 10, 15 feet away, you're not gonna notice that it's a perfect 90-degree angle. So don't be afraid to go in there, knock all your edges down, and that's really gonna help the painting process. I don't have a lot of stuff on this project left that needs, you know, these little small tools right now, just because the CNC route job came off so clean. But I do see a couple spots on some of these smaller letters that I could get into with this. So this sign's not a very big sign, but you know what, it's got a lot of components to it. With the right sanding tools, it took me about 25 minutes to complete start to finish. So once that comes off the router, it comes out to body work. You've got about a half hour to an hour into doing body work on this, and it's literally ready to go and take to paint. So we're gonna get this sign blown off right now. I'm gonna use a little Makita blower, which is real convenient when you don't wanna get your air compressors all up and running. So I'll go ahead and blow this off right now.
Another good thing about spraying water base is as soon as you're done, you can walk up to a water hose and you can pull this bad boy out and spray all the inside of this can out. Get all the contents out using your hands, fingers, whatever you got to do. When you're done, pull the can off and make sure you spray out all inside of here, clean everything out, and pretty much break down your gun as far as you can. That way you have none of that water-based paint left inside of your gun for the next coat that you're spraying, whether it be water base, oil base, or acrylic, whatever you're trying to use. Just make sure you clean everything out, and you can even take a simple like paintbrush and brush inside of here. I personally use Q-tips. I dip a Q-tip in a little bit of acetone and I'll clean out the inside of here and get all in here, all the contents out I can every single time. And most of the time when you're spraying with water base, you're going to be wanting to use a 2.0 tip because the paint's a lot thicker. You do water it down, but you do want to use a big tip because you can spray everything out and just pretty much even out your fan and how much paint you're getting out according to your tip. And spray it around 38 to 40 psi and you should have a healthy coat. So when you're spraying the paints, and if you notice you're spraying a lot closer to the sign, you're going to get a lot thicker, faster, wetter coat because your paint and the air pressure is going to be putting it down a lot faster. The farther you pull away, the more lighter, the more open your coat will be, the more surface you'll be covering, and the less chance you'll have of getting runs or sometimes whenever you're spraying a water base, the paint and the water will separate sometimes depending on how the ratio is you have them mixed and how much heat you have when you're drying the sign.
Okay, so now that all the body work's done outside, we've now brought the sign back inside and we're gonna take it over to the spray booth. A lot of folks ask what kind of paint we use when we do water base, and our go-to paint that we use, we've tried a lot of them, is a Behr Ultra Premium Flat, and that's a water base. Again, that's Behr, B-E-H-R. It's a pretty quick and easy and cost-effective way. I think the gallons are about $40 a piece. But what I've done so far right now is I've mixed up my paint, and again, this is a flat water-based paint. I've put more than enough of what I'm gonna need. Anything that I don't use, I can put it back in the gallon. And what I've done is I've watered this down about 10% with just regular water. I come over here and obviously always make sure you strain your paint. And you wanna go with kind of you don't want to be too thick. You want this stuff to float out, and I'll explain a little bit more while we're in the process. Okay, so we'll get all this out of the can. We're ready to go, and I love the consistency. Everything's looking real clean in the gun. I'm gonna go ahead and set this aside. All right. So whatever little excess is left, you can shake out a little bit more. 1, 2, 3, boom, right in the trash can. Okay, go ahead and fix the lid on real nice and tight. And let's go on over to the paint booth. All right guys, here we are at the paint booth. We've got all the body work done. We're about ready to start spraying this, but I wanted to touch on something real quick. We get this question all the time. Can I roll paint onto CORAFOAM? And the answer is absolutely yes. We suggest using an air system and a spray system, but you know, and again, if you're just getting started out, it's a $200 investment. You guys can go to any hardware store, buy a small air compressor and a $20 gun, and you can achieve most of what we do with a $200 setup. So we're gonna show you just a real quick clip of me rolling this on and show you how smooth this goes on, and then we'll go back and we'll spray the entire side. All right guys, this is a high density foam roller brush, and what I'm just showing you here is kind of how this rolls on. And I'm telling you what, with enough practice, you can get really good, and you can get a quality paint job here with a roller. Again, when you start getting onto the main background area, you're gonna have some real tight spots, but if you give it a little practice, you can actually touch those up with a foam brush. Make sure you have plenty of paint. You see how I'm kind of running out of paint here? You want to make sure that you have plenty on there. You're going to have to do 2 coats, especially if you don't put a heavy primer on there first, but the paint that we're using is that Behr Ultra Premium. This is a paint and primer in one, so there's a good chance I'm going to get this in 2 coats. When in doubt, always add another coat. If you can see any light spots, that is going to be the first place where weather or you're going to see some issues. So if you see light spots, or what we call them holidays in the signage industry, go ahead and hit it with another coat. It never hurts to go over rather than under. The huge benefit to water-based is the cost. It costs less, and the other massive plus side of this is that it dries in about 20 to 25 minutes. Now, that being said, we're here on the west coast of California, and we have very moderate, temperate climate here. So usually it's about anywhere from 60 to about 75 degrees. And so if you're in a part of the country that's cold, or if you're up in Canada, make sure that you got a heater that you're running. You want to keep your room temperature around 65 to 68. If at all impossible to do so, even look into hiring a local paint shop that does have a regulated room to help and assist with your painting. So yeah, water-based paint it's less expensive. It's way quicker to produce signs just due to its dry time. Okay, so we rolled the tops of these 2 letters just to kind of show you that you can use rollers on HDU with water-based paint. It's real simple to do. Anybody can do it. Now we're going to go over to the spray system. I've got an HVLP gun with a 2.0 tip on it. We're going to come in here and put a nice even coat. Now, remember, when you're not putting a base primer coat on this, and this is again to save time, save money, get projects in and out, you want to float the paint, and so you got to be real generous with it. And I'm going to show you how to do that by keeping my gun about 12 inches off of the surface. And you're going to come in and try to hit all your sides first, and then you're going to come back after you get everything coated real well and just smoothly coat all the tops. That's going to be your first coat. Your second coat is going to be a finishing coat, so we're going to lay it on real nice and thin and make it look beautiful. We'll float the whole thing, and you'll get that really high-end paint job that you're looking for. So any sign maker knows that when they're spraying letters or spraying signage, you're going to get these spots that are hard to hit when you're spraying. So what we suggest is focus on the hard to hit spots first, and then come back and hit the easy stuff second. You always want to go after the harder task first, and if it's a really tight spot, go in there with a brush and pre-paint it or roll it, and then come back and hit it with the spray gun. That's going to make the whole operation a lot more smooth. Okay, so don't forget one last thing. We always got to be safety conscientious. You got to be in a well-ventilated room with fans, or have a downdraft system, which we have here. Have good lighting. You want to make sure that you have a respirator on. I use a 3M respirator. Works great. Water-based paints are they're a lot safer than using automotive paints, but they should be treated the same. So again, nice, well-ventilated room. Have a respirator on. Make sure that there's nothing flammable around where you're working, and be safe.
Whenever we're pouring a new paint can, you usually get a lot of paint built up around the brim. So what I do is take a hammer and just a simple screw, and I go around and tap little love holes all through the can. That way the paint will run off your brim. And whenever you're ready to close the lid on, just take it back on, take your hammer, give it some taps so no more air get in there, and you're good to go.
there's two different types of brushes that we use. We use a bristle brush that you can get at any Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace Hardware. They're very common. There are different grades. A lower grade, you'll have a lot of these pull out and get into your paint. A higher grade will actually hold better. What we suggest is taking these and pulling on them real hard and getting all the real loose bristles out. And these are used for doing rough surfaces, so like sandblasted HDU or sandblasted Western Red Cedar. These work great for that. Now your other is the 1-inch poly brush or foam brush, and this is great for really smooth surfaces like HDU that's been CNC routed, for Western Red Cedar, for putting on gold leaf sizing, all kinds of good stuff. So that's the two main uses and the two types of brushes that we use most often here at Signs by Van. Now it's time to do the final lettering. For that, we're going to be using a glossy water-based paint to finish the letters. We always typically like to go flat on the backgrounds, glossy on the letters. You can also use a one-shot, but for this video, we wanted to do everything water-based. And for doing the lettering, we use a 1-inch foam poly brush. And what you want to do, the most important thing, is you're actually not really brushing the paint on. You're loading a bunch of paint and you're actually floating the paint job on top of the letters. A lot of times we'll use the terminology floating paint rather than painting or brushing. And what that means is to load up a bunch of paint on this foam brush, and I mean a bunch. And what you're doing, it's the same kind of theory as when you fill up a coffee mug full of coffee and it goes all the way up to the top and it brims over the edge but doesn't fall over. It's literally just barely hanging on. That's called floating. You want as much paint on there as possible. What that ends up doing is the medium will actually kind of float out and flatten, and that's how you get that real high quality lettering paint job. One of the coolest things about making these signs is just to be able to see, you know, pieces of art like this that come off the press, and really it's amazing that we can knock something out like this in a day, day and a half. Usually, you know, back 10, 15 years ago, this would take about a week and a half to 2 weeks to produce. And really what this does is when you use HDU DUNA and you use the right products, you use water-based paint, it helps you get these in and out of the shop. Less labor, less, you know, mistakes on the material, which then translates into more profitability. Your profit margin goes up and the mistakes and the amount of time it takes goes down. So that's why we love using this product. Making a sign like this for all the healthcare workers that have dealt with what they've had to go through for the last year is a really special thing for us. I was a firefighter, my sister's a nurse, and we've got a lot of friends and family that are also in that profession, and they really have worked very, very hard, tireless hours and put themselves in a position where you know, they're compromised. And this is the very least that we can do, and we can't wait to go deliver this to a local hospital here in Monterey County, and just tell them thank you, because they deserve it. So to everybody out there that's risked their lives and spent the tireless hours you know, doing everything that they can to help out this situation, we just want to say thank you, and we appreciate what you've sacrificed, and we wouldn't have been able to do it without you. So for that, we say thank you. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to us on YouTube. Go to our website, give our shop a phone call, and also if you guys want, go to our Instagram, signs_by_van. You'll see it right below me here, and you'll be able to go and take a look at all the stuff that we do. We've got approximately 650 posts. You could go in there and see all the crazy cool stuff that we've built over the years. And again, any questions on how we've built any of that stuff, we're happy to share it with you.
If you're ready to try a free sample of CORAFOAM HDU, you can call us at 281-383-3862 or visit our Instagram or website. To see other cool projects or to have one of yours featured, please visit us on Instagram.